Okay, so Smith story time part 2. So last time I left you guys with the information of, this insane dude on the river living in his hovel behind barbed wire fences like a hermit who was supposed to fix my sword but decided to take half a year. And eventually I get it and he wants to be paid in pirate doubloons, yada yada yada. He's a crazy man. He burns his own bullshit with a blowtorch, yada, yada, yada. At the end of it all, he's like, oh man, the sword school sounds really cool. I'd love to, do armor smithing and teach armor smithing to people. I'm like, yeah, that'd be really cool. And he's like, yeah. And if there's like a coin shop around there, you could pick up some coins and I could buy them from you there at the school. And I'm like, sure, dude. Let's get those doubloons. He's like, where do you live? I'm like, I pause for a moment and go, do I want this guy to know where I live? Fuck it. I live in Poco. And he's like, oh, well, there's no coin shops in Poco. I'm like, how do you know that? What the, huh? And he's like, oh, man, I guess you should just e-transfer me then. And I'm like, I could have, okay. So I ended up paying the guy an e-transfer. And he's like sad about it. He's like, oh, geez, you're gonna go pay taxes to the government. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. And, but like the bit about like coming to the school is like it's come up a few times because we already have like a leather worker at our school. His name is Ian. He's really good. He does classes on how to make arrows from scratch because arrows cost money and you have to buy them. But if you just make them, it's like really useful. Saves you a lot of trouble. And Ian also does leatherworking. He makes gorgets and stuff, and he did leatherwork. He helped me make my scabbard. But we don't have like a smith or an armor guy. And like we do armor. Like my teacher Ben does harness fighting, which is armor. It's just full plate gear. You just beat the shit out of each other. You don't give a fuck. It's like the real thing. And I'm sitting there like, wow, this would be a really good opportunity. But do I really want to expose the school to this weird crypto man? I'm not sure if it's a good idea. So I'm like pondering it and I'm talking to my teacher and he's like, yeah, we could use a guy like that. And I'm like, yeah, we could. And the whole time I'm like, I'm gonna let this fade out. I'm gonna let this guy vanish off the face of the earth because I know if I don't even talk to him, he's just gonna like go and vanish for another 4 months doing fucking smithing in Middle Earth or some shit. So that's the end of that story. I never want to see him again. If my pommeled peens again, I'm just gonna find some other dude. I'm gonna do it myself for the love of God. And that's the end of that for now. Story part 2. So fuck the weekly updates. You just get my bullshit stories because dear God, my life is so fucking weird. So my roommate, I found out, is a tactical genius. He's decided, I've mentioned before that they're giant slobs and they just leave. We have a dishwasher and it's pretty much theirs to use. I wash my dishes by hand, but he prefers to put them in the sink, let them bathe in water for like a week straight minimum, and then put them in the dishwasher. So, and the dishwasher's empty. Like, there's nothing in the dishwasher. It's an open place. There's room for dishes, but the dishes go in the sink anyway. So, he like fucks off for like 3 weeks and just like, he's still coming in and out. The dishes are there and he's seeing them, but he doesn't do his dishes for 3 weeks straight, and it's like smelling, it's fermenting. I'm like, fine, I'm just gonna clean up all my shit. I'm gonna let him have his filthy fucking sink. And you can deal with the fruit flies when they happen, and they do. They will. We are living next to a forest now, and we got fruit flies. So there's fruit flies in the apartment, in the sink. And he goes to deal with it, and he goes, blah! And I'm like, yeah, that's what happens. Good. Learn your lesson, you fucking slob. And he doesn't. Instead, he does the dumbest thing I've ever fucking seen. I come back from Sword one evening, and there's a cup of apple cider vinegar next to the sink with the dishes in it. And, like, I think it was meant to be a trap, because there's, like, a piece of wax paper just sitting on top that was, like, poorly, like, it looks like somebody just, like, a hand-sized hole in the wax paper and just let it gently rest on top. So there's this fucking cup there that's just, like, a fly attractor. Flies are literally, like, falling in and drowning. I think it's meant to be a trap, but I don't think he understands that, like, if you put a giant cup of cider vinegar in the house, it's just gonna attract a billion fucking flies. And it did. So now there's a billion fucking flies in my apartment, and I guess, like, devil's advocate, let's say that somehow this fly trap does work flawlessly, right? It attracts all the flies, and they all fall and they all die. Miracles. This will never happen because he still got it's near the sink, it's on top of the sink, and it's still got dishes with food in it. So all he's made is this fly spawner that attracts a billion flies. Then they eat all the food on his dirty dishes, and they go and fuck and make a billion more flies. I'm sitting here like, wow, what compelled you to do such a thing? And I don't know. I haven't seen him like 2 days. He's too busy to do whatever. And there's this just cup of vinegar. I'm just like, fuck this. I just flush it in the sink. I'm like, what? My apartment is fucked now. There's flies everywhere. It's so irritating. I have to work there.